The Cubs jumped the market early and got a really quality reliever. We talk about him next. Go Cubs.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. We are your team every day alongside Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. Latest with the Cubs roster as it stands right now, the relief pitcher market, and we start with the Cubs signing Phil Maton, who the Cubs agreed to terms with on Friday, a 2-year deal for the right-handed relief pitcher who will be 33 years old on opening day. The signing first reported by Bleacher Nation, later confirmed by multiple others. And as of this recording, we still don't have terms, but we do know it is a 2-year deal with a club option for a 3rd year. Maton has an average fastball velo of just 90, yet he boasts one of the best curveballs in the game and a 32% strikeout rate. Sam, this is not only a rare early signing for the Cubs, but a rare bullpen early signing, or just a rare bullpen signing in general, which means the Cubs must really like Maton.
As they should. 81 strikeouts in 61 innings last year, performed at a really high level, mostly for the rival St. Louis Cardinals. And this is a guy, as of right now, I think we're going to probably talk about this later, but as of right now, bullpen-wise, assuming, Keller being a free agent, I think you're looking at Palencia as a main high-leverage guy. And then everything else right now is up in the air in terms of the relievers. And now you added yourself another high leverage arm. This is somebody that I believe will pitch late in games at Wrigley Field when games are tight, the Cubs are leading late. I wish and thought by now we would have the terms on this deal in terms of the numbers and finances, because I'm really interested in that. 2 years, looks like you and I are estimating between 12 and 15 million with that third option. We know that if the Cubs pounced early, there's a financial reason why, because everything this franchise does has numbers in the back of their mind to save as much money as possible. So I think saying I'm excited about this would be a little bit of an exaggeration. But encouraged that they got out the market and look, they got out early last year and got a guy like Matthew Boyd. Look how that turned out to be. So, maybe there's a little bit of a track record of the Cubs picking out somebody that they really like early, identifying him, getting him in the pitch lab and seeing what happens.
I thought I was encouraged at first, but upon reflection, I think it is just more of surprise, like checking your phone on a Friday night, late on a Friday night, mind you, and the Cubs make a signing, and it's a signing for their bullpen group. I believe this is the first free agent signing of the offseason for the whole sport, at least the first one of significance. So for the Cubs to be the first team to do that, I was really surprised that they did that. And Maton must be too. I mean, he must be shocked. It's quite a turn of events for him. He was also a free agent last offseason. He didn't sign until March 13th.
Well, maybe that's why.
So, and it was only for $2 million, and then he got traded at the deadline to the Rangers. So I wouldn't be surprised if he got triple that per year, something like 2 for 12, maybe as high as 2 for 15. But especially since he got that club option for 28, there's the buyout structure in there. So maybe the AAV pays down a little bit. But right now I'm ultra focused on him missing bats. That's what the team needs. That's what he does. Striking out almost a third of the hitters he faces. That's crazy. And he misses barrels, only a 31% hard hit rate. And he finished 25 with a 2.79 ERA in 63 games. And the other thing that stands out to me, Sam, is that 63 games.
Yeah.
At least 63 of them in 5 straight years. He's also had 4 seasons where the team that he is rostered on has made the postseason, most recently in 24 with the Mets. So you got playoff experience. Cubs should be viewing the offseason with a playoff lens, in my opinion.
Yes.
And he's reliable. He's durable. Okay, he only gets it up to 90 with the fastball, maybe even closer to 88, 89. But his curveball is one of the best in the game. And I like the signing. I'm just surprised that they're already on the board.
Yeah, I think.
Oh,
Sorry.
the hot stove.
Oh, I think that. How do I phrase this? I think sometimes in the off season, we're all a little bit guilty, me included, of just, mistaking activity with productivity. So it's like Cubs did this, Cubs did this. I mean, I remember, I think we did a pretty big episode one time was it the Vidal Brujan for Mervis trade? Did it?
Well,
No, I'm not criticizing it. I'm just making a point. I was just asking, didn't that do like really well, if I remember correctly?
Transactions always do well in terms of audience. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, they always do well. But I think there's a level up from this, Matt. I'm a big baseball savant guy. I love those stats. Like when you look at when you look at the baseball savant stuff, the expected stuff, everything besides fastball, velo, and walks is like dark red. Expected ERA 2.84. Expected batting average against 195. Whiff percentage 36. I mean, this guy was a top 20-ish reliever in the sport last season. And of course the counter argument is, and that voice in your mind goes, well, it's relievers, so maybe what if he's bad next year? But obviously they like the idea that they think that what he did was sustainable. And like I said, it's hard to talk about without knowing the numbers, because, and I know people will roll their eyes, but 2 for 12 versus 2 for 20. At 2 for 12, what a great transaction. At 2 for 20, knowing the limitations on this budget, it's a little bit more of a pause. So for now, I'm just happy the Cubs got a good player. And on Friday afternoon, they got better as a baseball team.
Yeah, and I do have some potentially financial updates later in the show, which will be encouraging. Maton, born in Chatham, Illinois, went to Glenwood High School. So now Palencia and Maton at the back end for the Cubs. Do they bring back Thielbar? Do they bring back Pomerantz? Thielbar also one of the best curveballs in the game. And Bleacher Nation, Michael Cerami, namely, reported the Cubs are still active in the relief pitcher market. Who could be next? There's some top names here, including a possible reunion with Brad Keller. Find out all the details next.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you could even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. The Chicago Bears are 8-3, folks. That was the beginning of Bear Down, if you couldn't tell. I can't believe it. It's an 8-3 football team. They win another one-score game. Their entire linebacker position group was out, and they found a way to win a football game, and now have their eyes towards a possible NFC North title. They will go to Philadelphia next week. Really interested to see what Vegas labels that. Where does FanDuel have it? Does Philly get a full 7 at home against the Bears? That'd be a little disrespectful. Let's see what happens there, but celebrate 8-3. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets. When your first $5 bet wins, head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Thank you for making Locked On Cubs your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Before we dip back into the relief market, one update potentially to the Cubs' financial situation. I've been citing the FanGraphs number, at least $51 million to the first luxury tax threshold. Well, over the weekend, they did some adjustments to their projection. They now have the Cubs with about $54 million worth of space, and Cott's baseball contracts, which a lot of publications cite instead of FanGraphs, has the Cubs with about 60 million, 60 to the first threshold, which is a big difference, between 51 and 60.
Well, it's a player.
It's major. It's major. So we're going to keep an eye on that. We'll do some digging, and by we, I mean me. And what is the number? Because Cots has the Cubs at about 184 million, which again, to the 244, that's about 60 million. I don't need a calculator to
right,
do that.
but they're if even if they're going to spend to the first luxury tax, they're going to leave themselves some wiggle room at the deadline.
Right, which they shouldn't.
So you're looking at about 234 then.
Great.
So
that goes back to about 50, right?
Yeah, and that would be surprising to me, before this CBA if they really, I'm expecting them to end up right around 234, 235 after the deadline. So
that's good. Bleacher Nation's Michael Cerami said Saturday the Cubs are in on Brad Keller, Ryan Helsley, Devin Williams, Pete Fairbanks. That could be the bank of names to consider if the Cubs strike next in the reliever market. Keller and Helsley are getting interest to possibly be starting pitchers, though, Sam. We heard about Keller last week. We heard about Helsley on Sunday from Ken Rosenthal. Then the Cubs are out on them. So that leaves Williams and Fairbanks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you the other relievers on the MLB trade rumors, top 50 free agent list, and their contract projections later. But a reunion for Craig Counsell with Devin Williams does interest me, and Pete Fairbanks for the most part has been good with the Rays.
Yeah, and I think the Devin Williams thing becomes really fascinating now because now you can buy low on him. He had a poor season. ZRA was close to 5, and it was a complete disaster early on. And you look at the peripheral numbers, he still struck out his 90 guys in 62 innings. And so, could you get him for 1 year, 16, 17 or something like that? I don't know. Right. 15. I don't know.
No, I would say, match the Iglesias deal from last week, 1 for 16.
Yeah. I still just find it a little bit odd that the Cubs are mentioned with those guys because they've never, ever really paid up big for relief pitchers.
Right.
And then considering, like we just talked about, and half joke but half serious with all the constraints financially, like if they do, let's say they do sign Devin Williams in this hypothetical world,
right?
Let's say it's 1 year, 15. That pretty much eliminates to me like a major free agent pitching acquisition. Like I would exclusively then go into the trade market. I can't imagine they're going to spend $45 million ish next year on a starter and Devin Williams combined in free agency. I just can't unless it's a different plan or as you hinted, maybe the entire focus is let's just load up on run prevention and figure out the rest later.
Devin Williams signing would be that would really be, it would be a shock for me. I just don't see how he gets 1 year.
Yeah.
If we're talking about 2 or more years, I just don't see the Cubs in on that. There's even some projections that have him at 3 years. So I don't think the Cubs touch it.
No.
I'd like to see Keller back, but again, the interest for him being a starter, whether that's from the Mets or the Cardinals or another place, I think that takes the Cubs out. MLB trade rumors does have Fairbanks getting 2 for 18.
Ooh, that seems
an
real.
intriguing number.
Yeah.
Yet they have a lot of guys basically at the same figure. They have 1, 2, 3 other guys at 2 for 18, 2 at 2 for 16, and Kyle Finnegan at 2 for 20. So I can get you some of the other names if you want. I will, but
no on Finnegan.
Why is that? What stands out about him?
It's just one of those things. Maybe it's just when I've watched him pitch, I just don't think he's worth that. I feel like out of all the guys, he's a guy that I just could see, you giving a 2-year deal to, and we're sitting here very Presley, Merriweather-ish, just going, what are we doing? I don't know. Maybe that's unfair. Yeah, maybe that's unfair to him, but I'm good on that one.
Well, yeah, you just wonder if they bring in a guy and it just history repeats from Neris to Presley to the whoever new they bring in.
Well, and that's the interesting thing is, we give him a ton of credit, as we should. Did I just mute my gut? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I was going to say that's the counter there is, they hit on a lot of the cheap guys, but Presley, Neris, some of the other ones, Fulmer, don't go.
It hasn't been great.
Right.
That's why it's the Cubs going more than 2 years. I guess I could see them going 2 years on one more guy. If they identify someone else they really like, just like they did with Maton. And you wonder then, could it be, pre-winter meetings again, like this Maton signing was, but we'll see. The other 3 guys MLB trade rumors has at 2 for 18 is Luke Weaver, who was like a cast off with the Reds. You remember him?
Yeah, and then he
23 summer
had a huge breakout in New York.
Yeah, as a reliever, right, with the Yankees. Tyler Rogers, the sidewinder, 2 for 18 as well.
Yeah, well, his twin brother was on the Cubs, I believe.
He was. And then Sir Anthony Dominguez, 2 for 18 as well. He was on Orioles and Blue Jays last year, I believe. Also, lefty Gregory Soto, 2 for 16. And I think he was with the Mets last year. And this guy was with the Reds, I know for sure, last year. Emilio Pagan is a free agent. He's older, though.
Yeah, none of those names with 2 years at that price level.
I think you got to avoid.
Yeah, Weaver would be the only one.
Okay.
Yeah, I like him the best out of that group. But this is picking at straws here. I mean, this is
right.
They've
proven they could do stuff with minor league signings too.
Yeah, it's just such a complicated thing trying to predict how these relievers work out. I really would like to see Pomerantz back.
Really? Why is that? Because of his movement on his fastball?
Yeah, all his numbers looked really sustainable, and it's cheap.
Yeah, he's a little bit younger than Thielbar.
I'd like to see both of them back.
Well, you know what I was thinking with Pomerantz was, because I projected 1 for 5 the other day. What if, to sweeten the deal and to pay down the AAV, maybe they go like 2 for 8 with a guy like Pomerantz, give him 2 years, have some familiar faces.
Yeah, I just think having lefties in the bullpen last year was so refreshing. Just a couple really good ones, and I'd like to at least bring one of them back.
Yeah, right now the projected lefties are Luke Little and Jordan Wicks.
Yeah, so that they're going to sign a lefty at some point.
Absolutely. Yeah, probably a couple if it's minor and major signings.
Sure, maybe 3.
Let's continue talking about the roster as it got some updates last week right after this.
This episode is brought to you by Game Time. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout, it's frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and in just a couple taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite NFL games as low as $100. The app made it super simple. I could even see the exact view for my seat before buying. So please download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today.
Shout out to the everydayers. You can become a Locked On Cubs everydayer by joining us for every episode throughout the week. Following several moves last week, the Cubs, as of right now, have 30 players on the 40-man. That's the least amount in baseball right now.
Wow.
Only 2 players in arbitration, Steele and Assad, and maybe they avoid arbitration with those guys. Not avoid arbitration, but I just mean
the hearing.
Restructure their deals or something. Give one of those guys a little more certainty coming up. We'll see. I had that idea the other day. McGuire and Morgan were non-tendered, meaning they were not tendered a contract for this year. They're now free agents. That happened Friday night. Next few names that would be close to that line as the Cubs line up transactions over the next couple of months or so would probably be Hollowell, Little, Neely, and Roberts. All other fringe guys that would maybe be like a lower tier trade piece would be Brown, Wicks, and Alcantara if the Cubs even end up going the trade route. Although with that being said, you're not going to get Edward Cabrera without trading Casey or Ballesteros or Shaw or something like that.
Right.
Also, James Triantos, Riley Martin, and Pedro Ramirez were added last week in order to be protected in next month's Rule 5. And I also wonder if the Cubs will be active again in the Rule 5. Maybe they find a reliever they like or something. But no surprises with McGuire. Sam, around this time last year, I think it was actually even before Thanksgiving week, the Cubs got Eli Morgan. And I think he pitched, 9 innings the whole year?
Yeah, well, he had that disaster in Arizona early. And then he kind of lost his trust, and then he hurt his elbow, and we never really heard from him again.
Yeah.
Saw him again. I mean, was even in the clubhouse the rest of the year? I don't think so.
Well, yeah, we can't say for sure. The marquee cameras never caught him, but yeah, he was on a couple minor league rehab assignments, and there was never like a plan for him to come back. Not that they really needed him.
And that's a really good example of sometimes how these transactions go. For every Thielbar or every Pomerantz, there's an Eli Morgan and vice versa.
Right.
You know,
right, because he had a 1 ERA in 24.
I mean, we did an episode about getting Eli Morgan. I'm sure we talked about how good he was the last year and how exciting it could be.
And he was.
And he literally contributed negatively to the team in a brief amount of time. So, and that's not a knock on him. It's just, I'm telling you, man, being a relief pitcher, it's not for the weak.
Yeah, and you've used the field goal kicker analogy before.
Yep.
But it's true. It really is true.
And shout out to our Friday guest, Tim Grunhard. There's a little bit of an offensive line component to it too, because it's just like sometimes you only hear about these guys when they're doing poorly, and it's just it is what it is.
All right, so Maton's in the bullpen now. We don't have terms on him yet. Morgan's out. The big news last week was Shota Imanaga. And, there was maybe a report that the Cubs were shocked that he accepted. I think that might be worth following up this week. I think that's still pretty fresh news.
How can they be shocked if they offered it to him? I think surprise is probably the better word.
I don't think that's the right angle. I think the angle to look at it is, did they screw up? Because if they is this going to prevent them from getting Michael King or someone?
Yeah.
If they have to trade Jamison Tyone to sign Michael King, it's a redux of trading Cody Bellinger to get Kyle Tucker.
Well, I don't think they could do
that. And that's
that.
because you made a bad decision by offering Imanaga the qualifying offer.
Yeah, except I don't think they could do that, right? Doesn't Tyone have like a partial no trade?
Partial, yeah.
So does the equipment manager.
Well, Matthew Boyd could be on the block then. I don't. That's not going to be a fun day if they trade him to sign Michael King.
Does he have a no trade?
I just think that's not the angle to look at anymore. Oh, were they shocked? Were they surprised? Did they screw up?
Yeah.
Did they screw up by just offering him the deal?
Fair question. And you know when you're going to find out that answer? I don't know, about July or whatever it is. I mean, when we see Imanaga pitch, is he a $22 million pitcher? That's the
$22 million. He had like a 1 WAR last year.
Yeah, I'm not as down on him as you. I still think he could be extremely valuable at Wrigley Field. I wish
maybe he becomes a reliever.
No. I not with the amount of home runs he gives up. I don't love having a guy where, like, on any given night you're like, he could give up like 12 runs. You know what I mean?
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not good.
But I don't think I still think he's an asset. I still think he's a good player, but he's got a lot of work to do in the offseason, and we'll see.
And I believe he'll put that work in, and the Cubs will be collaborative with him. I just think they may have screwed up.
I think what the Cubs are going to do in terms of pitching is they're going to try and mimic a little bit of what the Dodgers did last year, where right now in the fold you have Cade, you have Boyd, you have Steele probably around May, you have Shota, you have Tyone. You go get another one, you have 6 guys.
Assad and Ray.
Yeah, and I just think they're going to really give guys days, 6-man rotation possible, long breaks. Hey, you know what, Steele, we're going to give you an extra whatever just to make sure everybody's sharp and at their best in the second half. The problem with that is you're not the Dodgers. You don't have the luxury of doing that. Every game matters to you. They can sleepwalk their way into a division title. They can sleepwalk their way. I mean, they did. They literally sleepwalked their way and just said, you know what, we'll just play the wild card series against the Reds. It'll be all right.
Yeah, they didn't mind playing the extra 2 or 3 games. It didn't bother them at all.
Yeah, you don't have that type of talent. So
no, they don't. It's a great point.
That's the counter to that.
It is. I also thought the other day, Sam, I keep having these thoughts mainly on my walks as I try to build out my outdoor time as much as I can till winter begins. I think I could see them building like a 30-day break, like a 4-week break for Cade Horton around the All-Star game. Like, we'll see you July 20th or something.
100%.
Especially if they have all these dudes.
Every pitcher that they have right now in their rotation at some point is going to need a breather in the regular season. They just
all right. It's holiday week here. We got shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then a break until a layoff until the following week. So we'll make the most of our 3 episodes this week all together, and maybe with a surprise or 2 along the way. Sam, anything else?
No, nothing else. Just what a disappointing season for the Illini in football.
He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.
I really enjoy that.